What's up? It's your boy K, and I'm here with Isaac. Say hi to the people, Isaac.
Hello to the people.
We are back with our new movie review, number 10, over the A24 film Y2K, starring Jaeden Martell as Eli, Julian Dennison as Danny, and Rachel Zegler as Laura.
Two friends in high school decide to bring in the millennium at a high school party, and all hell breaks loose because Y2K actually happens, and robots and electronics start to attack the human race. In the previous movie, I pre-rated this an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I have to drop that significantly to about a 6.5 out
Oof.
of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, so in our previous rating, I gave it a 7 out of 10. You know, I thought it was going to be pretty solid. We had mentioned Jonah Hill produced it. So a little bit better expectations. I'm actually going to go a 6 out of 10.
Even lower.
So here's the deal, okay? What I liked about the film, I did like the characters involved.
Yep.
They were pretty reflective of like what the 90s, what I would think the 90s was like. Now, I didn't experience the 90s myself, but it was just cool to see the dynamic personalities and how you had like the different groups, I guess, of people you'd have in the 90s.
Yes.
Like the punk rockers, the wannabe rappers, the populars and the nerds and the hippies.
Yep.
Like it was well mixed together. And I will say, there was some moments where I did chuckle. There was some good laughs in there. So that was what I liked about it.
Okay, that's fair. So kind of tagging onto that, I did grow up in the 90s, so it does give you a little bit of nostalgia to see the clothing they wear, because that was pretty accurate, the food they ate, movie theaters, the way they talked, the music, definitely.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some parts in there I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. They were searching for VHS in the movie, in the store. So I mean, that right there is pretty cool. And like you said, there were some funny parts. There were some things that I thought were pretty entertaining. I will say I was entertained throughout the whole movie. I wasn't bored at all. But it's just these are the negatives. The plot line itself is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, completely ridiculous. And I mean, I don't even know how else to say it besides it was just like, really? Like, this is what you came up with for this movie? So it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, I was entertained, but that would never happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see like the AOL dial-up, and you know, the nostalgic points did really hit. But as you said, the plot line was pretty ridiculous. I mean, the scenarios, the best way I would kind of sum it up from my knowledge and understanding, as a kid, I grew up watching Disney movies.
Okay.
And in Disney movies, when you're a child, there's a lot of things that you don't really pay attention to that you can kind of just skim over. Like, for instance, there's always the hacker, and the hacker just gets to the computer.
Get in right
I'm
away.
in.
Yeah.
Like, this was that type of movie where it was just like, you don't have to make it make sense, I guess. And there's just, you know, without trying to get into many spoilers, there's just so many parts where you're just like, I could have handled that way better. Like, that wouldn't have happened here in real life where we are at.
Yeah.
But definitely the plot, it was weak. It was weak to say the best, I guess, out of it. I mean, I could say a lot worse.
Now, I will say, there's a certain character that comes to play. I'm not going to say it. We'll wait for the spoiler. But I really enjoyed the person that came in. I thought it was fun. It's creative. They use it correctly, I think, throughout the movie. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But again, so you're not going to be necessarily disappointed if you go just for entertainment purposes. If you're trying to get anything out of life through that movie, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to be the one. But again, we always encourage you to go. So take a date, go have some fun. Maybe if there's nothing else on, watch that movie.
Every single episode we tried to encourage people to go to the movies. If there's another movie out there that is even at a little bit you're interested in, go watch that one. Okay, this is one that you could order online or maybe pirate through a illegal site. Who knows? But that's all we have for the non-spoiler part. Okay, next week we are going to see a movie I am actually a little excited to go see. Hopefully Marvel can get back on track.
Hopefully.
We are going to see the new Kraven movie coming out.
Yep.
So I have some decent expectations with it. I recognize some of the actors and actresses involved in the film. I think that, we just reviewed the Gladiator movie with Russell Crowe in it, and I know he's in this movie, so I want to see his part in it a little bit too, see how he interacts with the character. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my pre-rating here. I'm really hoping for an 8.5. 8.5. Now, if it could go over 8.5, that's beautiful. If it gets to 8.5, then that meets my expectations. If it's lower than that, I'm going to be disappointed. I genuinely am. Marvel, we have to get back on track.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Kraven the Hunter. I would say, I just unfortunately don't have a lot of faith in Marvel right now. I mean, it's just been that way for a while. I mean, they just have continued to struggle with making recent movies, and so I'm gonna say like a 7.5 out of 10. But again, I like what I've seen in the previews. It looks very entertaining. I don't know much about Kraven the Hunter as the character, so I would be interested in learning more about how he develops. But for me, it's I'm gonna start low and hopefully build up.
All right, 7.5. Well, let's go ahead and get into some spoilers, why don't we?
Yes.
So, the first thing I want to point out in this movie, I already in the first half of this mentioned how it's kind of like a Disney movie, but it's like a rated R Disney movie. The jokes that they were cracking and like the language they were using that was reflective of the 90s and stuff. I mean, in the porn pop-ups that they had, they all came at smooth times to actually give you a solid chuckle. I did really enjoy that. The robot itself, man, like when it popped up on screen and stuff towards the end, it's funny. It gives you a little bit comic relief, but it's almost like what I would imagine 90s corniness would seem like, almost.
Yeah, I could see that. But the digital side of it, I mean, there wasn't a lot of good digital product back then because they just didn't have that processing speed, I guess, or whatever it is. I'm not a computer guy. But no, I've mentioned this in the previous, so if you've watched it, here's the spoiler. Fred Durst is in the movie.
Fred Durst.
From Limp Bizkit, lead singer, and he played the part really well. It was funny. He actually sang in the movie. And it was just fun to see him in there. I thought that was pretty unique to kind of get to work him in. Because I think they've actually been on tour all this past summer. Reliving some of their good old days when they used to rock the stage. Now they're old men. But it was really fun to see that. And then, like I said and previously, it was fun seeing some of the 90s stuff because I did get a chance to live through that. And I remember exactly where I was when 2000 hit. I was at a friend's house, and when 2000 hit, the funny part was they all decided they were going to unplug everything to make it seem like that everything shut down. Obviously, we all know it didn't because they didn't unplug the TV, and it was still on when they unplugged the lights. So, but it was fun. So that's those parts I think were fun.
Yeah, I mean, just mentioning Fred Durst, it was funny the irony in his role almost.
Yeah.
Everyone knows him as this punk rock, tear stuff up, balls to the wall type of guy. And in the end of the movie, he's trying to sing to unite the people. And in the end, when everything got solved, I guess you would say, they were cheering him on, you saved us, Fred Durst. And then
he was a distraction.
Yeah, and they kind of threw a mention towards the end of it of how he had opened up a tech company and now he's running for mayor. And I'm I could not imagine Fred Durst trying to operate a city.
Yeah,
I mean it was good irony. It was comedic relief.
Yep.
And I did Julian Dennison, his role in the beginning of the movie. Spoiler here, he's only in it for about a third of the movie. But just he is what I would imagine, like the kind of nerd that really doesn't care. Like he's just out there because whenever internet came around, I'd like to think that a lot of like the nerdy or self-conscious kids, their self-esteem went way lower from online profiles, and you had like cyberbullying and stuff like that. I feel like back in the 90s, nerds and stuff, like the people who would be lower on the social hierarchy of high school and stuff like that, and they did only have like a single friend or whatever, that's how they would act, like him. Like, I don't care what other people think. I like my Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it is that they're into.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like it almost reminds me of like the movie Superbad of how they were interacting with each other. Yeah. But this is like 90s without cell phones, only having AOL dial-up and whatever. They played what was the game? Nintendo? It was like an early Sega or something they were playing in the beginning.
Yeah, what game were they playing?
I forget what. It's the long controller. It's like they had a little cone in the middle.
Oh, that might be my time. Nintendo 64 maybe?
Probably.
Maybe something like
Could
that.
Have been
that
the
was
64.
big at the time. I can't remember what game they were playing though.
Yeah, but it was cool.
They even tried the kind of the love thing with Rachel's character and Jaden's character, which it kind of worked. And then obviously he gets the girl at the end of the show.
He has to.
You gotta make it happen.
He has to.
But yeah, it wasn't the best A24 movie I've ever seen. I'll say that.
No, it seemed very, like, as far as prop-wise and setup-wise, it did, like, feel what an I feel like a lot of times A24 films make the best with what they got.
Yeah.
This movie almost felt like it just was what they had, and it was just a movie producing with what they had, so. Ultimately, like I gave my rating, 6 out of 10. I can't even tell people to go and watch it. Like I said, if you can get it on a legal website, that'd probably be a better pathway to watching this one. Don't pay money for it. Well, that's all we have for this episode. If you enjoyed our content, please give us a like. Go ahead and comment a movie that you would like us to review for our fan-selected movie reviews early in the week. Go ahead and share this video with anyone who may be interested in watching the Y2K movie. And go ahead and give us a sub on YouTube. We're doing great with subs right now. So
going well.
We're going to have to reevaluate some goals for the next time we have a video of what we want to be striving for. So everyone who's supporting the podcast, thank you.
Yes,
we really appreciate it. That's all. Have a great day.